Welcome to another episode of Codo Cinema, the podcast show where I talk about movies. I'm your host, the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Codo. Have you ever thought of what's going on with the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Yeah, that's basically the question up in the air. What is going on? We haven't seen a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe since Spider-Man Far From Home, right? Well, true. You got the upcoming WandaVision TV show that will be streaming onto Disney Plus sometime at the end of 2020. And of course, you also got the recent X-Men spin-off movie, The New Mutants, that came out recently. But I'm actually talking about the films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You're probably wondering if we are ever going to see another MCU film sometime soon. Well, why aren't we seeing Phase 4 of the MCU so far from this year? What is the fate of Phase 4 looking like? What's the update of it all? Well, to answer your question, I believe this year will not be the year of where we'll see another film from Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe from this year. Now, hear me out, folks. Don't turn off the episode yet. I just want to explain why this is happening. And that is basically the point of the episode. The MCU Phase 4 update. I'm going to dive into the Marvel Cinematic Universe films that are part of Phase 4. And I also may give in some hints of Phase 5 and see what is going on. As always, spoiler alert for the possible plot details from the films that I'm going to talk about for today's episode. But first, let me recap a little bit of Phase 3 from the end of it. The last film that we have ever seen from the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Spider-Man Far From Home, and that film came out in July of 2019. And while Spider-Man Far From Home was the finale to Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, many people remembered Avengers Endgame coming out that same year too, including Captain Marvel. Spider-Man Far From Home, Avengers Endgame, and Captain Marvel received critical praise and box office records, which is actually pretty good. It seems as though this year has not been going well for obvious reasons in the film industry, and many people have been anxious for Phase 4 of the MCU. 2020 was originally going to bring in 3 different Marvel films that was supposed to kick off Phase 4. They are The Eternals, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and the highly anticipated Black Widow. Unfortunately, in an astounding turn of events, the MCU is still moving forward with their films in 2021. So let me dive into the films that were supposed to kick off the Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, I mentioned in an early episode of Codo Cinema that one of the films that was supposed to kick off the MCU was supposed to be Black Widow. And it was supposed to come out this year, or November of this year. Unfortunately, changes had to be made for this. And that is where I'm going to start. Let me start off with Black Widow. Black Widow was supposed to be the first film to kick off Phase 4, with the story focusing on the title character. This film takes place after Captain America Civil War, where Black Widow is on the run and she is forced to confront her past experience as an assassin. She later meets up with her sister figure, or somebody who looks to be a sister figure, named Yelena Belova, who is also a Black Widow as well, and now reunited with Black Widow, who is being played by Scarlett Johansson, again. They also meet up with Melina Vostokov, played by Rachel Weisz, and of course, Red Guardian, played by David Harbour, as they go on a mission to Budapest to stop the Taskmaster from taking over the room. And Taskmaster is definitely a fan-favorite villain in the Marvel Comics, and I can't wait to see what Taskmaster will look like in the Black Widow solo film. And to be honest, though, this film did had a troubled production since 2004, and it never came through until Black Widow's first appearance in Iron Man 2, which is a welcome surprise. And the idea of a solo film was brought back years later, with director Kate Shortland being hired in 2018 to direct the film. While I'm looking forward to seeing Black Widow, but we all have to wait another year for Black Widow to come out. The release date has been pushed back twice due to the pandemic, from May 2020 to November 2020, and now November 2021. Black Widow is not the only film in Phase 4 of the MCU. There is another film from the MCU that was supposed to come out this year, and that is The Eternals. In the Marvel Comics, the Eternals are a fictional race of humanoids who were created by the Celestials, who have lived on Earth for over 7,000 years, surprisingly. And now, the Eternals are reunited again to go up against the Deviants. The film has an all-star cast, which includes Richard Madden, Gemma Chan, Brian Tyree Henry, Salma Hayek, Kit Harington, and Angelina Jolie. The film is going to be directed by Chloe Zhao, and forgive me for mispronouncing names, and the film will take place after the events of Avengers Endgame. There isn't much in terms of plot for the Eternals, but this is another film that I'm kind of looking forward to see. The film was originally set to be released on November 6th of this year, but it was shifted to February 12th, 2021 due to the pandemic, and now November 5th of 2021. Now, I know there are more films in the MCU for Phase 4 that were pushed back or rescheduled, I should say, due to the pandemic between 2021 and 2022, like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, Shang-Chi, and the upcoming Tom Holland Spider-Man sequel. And speaking of Doctor Strange, the Doctor Strange sequel was originally going to be directed by Scott Derrickson, who directed the first. But Scott Derrickson left the film due to creative differences, and now Spider-Man director Sam Raimi, who directed the Spider-Man trilogy, is stepping in to direct the Doctor Strange sequel, which I'm actually looking forward to that. And as with other films between Phase 4 and Phase 5, Black Panther is originally scheduled to be released in 2022, and there hasn't been a rumor, or some say that Black Panther 2 will be a part of Phase 4. However, in the wake of Chadwick Boseman's death from colon cancer in August of 2020, the question still remains on whether or not Black Panther 2 will be a part of Phase 4 or Phase 5. Some say that Black Panther 2 may be a part of Phase 5 with Blade, but there has been no confirmation about that. So we're just going to have to wait and see. And speaking of Phase 5, there is another MCU film that was supposed to come out at the end of this year for Phase 4 of the MCU, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. After their first two outings and their two crossovers with the Avengers in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, the Guardians of the Galaxy are now having their third film. Unfortunately, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has been pushed back to either 2021, 2022, or 2023. And that is a question that still remains. When will Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 come out? It was supposed to come out in 2020, towards the end of 2020, as a part of Phase 4, but that is not the case. And no one knows when the third installment will be released. But for now, it's still in development, so the film is still going, but still in development, though. There are many reasons why the third Guardians of the Galaxy film has not been filming yet. One of the obvious reasons is the pandemic, which has put a huge dent into the film schedule. But long before the pandemic, Disney has severed their ties with director James Gunn back in 2018, about a year after the second Guardians of the Galaxy film. But 6 months later, in 2019, Disney later rehired Gunn to direct the third installment. Unfortunately, between 2018 and 2019, James Gunn was hired to direct The Suicide Squad in 2018 prior to being let go by Disney, but was later rehired in 2019, as I mentioned. For James Gunn, he's still working on the Suicide Squad movie for DC that is scheduled to come out in 2021. And FYI, the Suicide Squad movie is a part of the DC Extended Universe. Unfortunately, this creates a dent in the third installment for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, for not only the pandemic, but Disney's decision to let James Gunn go too soon for some reason and then rehire him a few months later. And I'm not going to tell you the details of why this happened, but I kind of feel uncomfortable saying this, but I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about. You might have heard about it, but I'd rather not tell you this. This is probably something I don't want to say. On top of that, going back to the Suicide Squad movie, the film itself has entered post-production, and that's Suicide Squad I'm talking about. So I guess you could say that James Gunn is almost done with the Suicide Squad film. So that's pretty good, and I'm pretty sure sometime in 2021 that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 may start filming, although that has not been confirmed yet. Although it's still in development, but Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will not be a part of Phase 4, but I'm pretty sure it will be a part of Phase 5. And to wrap things up, I guess you could say that Phase 4 of the MCU is still moving forward despite the delays. Creative differences, and the pandemic, but we had to wait a whole year to watch Black Widow, The Eternals, and Shang-Chi. But for now, it's time to wait. And yes, I kind of did spoil a little bit of Phase 5, although some of it has not been confirmed. But these are rumors that are still up in the air, but we will see what Phase 4 and Phase 5 will look like. On top of that, the question also remains, will the films for Phase 4, like Black Widow or The Eternals, will they go into reshoots before coming out next year? Are they going to do any reshoots or anything? Any rewrites? That is the question that still remains, but we don't know. Because those films were originally scheduled to come out in 2020 of this year, but now, as I mentioned, they are pushed back. And as of now, that is all I have for the MCU Phase 4 updates and a little bit of Phase 5. So what do you guys think? Did I miss out on any films from the MCU, upcoming MCU films for Phase 4, and maybe a little bit for Phase 5? But today's episode mostly focuses on Phase 4, but I feel like I did go into a little bit of detail of Phase 5. But other than that, if there are any updates of the MCU for Phase 4, please let me know. And thank you for tuning in to Codo Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo. Remember to watch movies and stay positive.